The moment I saw my cardamom coffee cake on Dominic's livestream, something inside me cracked. Not a dramatic shatter, more like the hairline fracture that forms in a ceramic bowl when you pour boiling water into cold porcelain. Subtle. Almost invisible. But irreparable. And the secret to this amazing coffee cake, Dominic said as he gestured with flour-dusted hands to his camera, my secret is using freshly ground cardamom pods instead of the pre-ground stuff. It completely transforms the flavor profile. My secret. Not his. The secret my grandmother taught me when I was 9. The same grandmother who spent a half hour explaining the difference between cachet and Ceylon cinnamon, who made me close my eyes and taste 10 different vanillas until I could identify each origin by its particular floral notes. I paused the video and stared at Dominic's kitchen. The marble island. The copper pots hanging in perfect Instagram-ready formation. The KitchenAid mixer in that limited edition color that had a 6-month waiting list. My kitchen had none of those things. Just well-worn tools, recipes written on index cards stained with butter fingerprints, and the knowledge passed down through 4 generations of women who baked not for followers but for the sheer pleasure of transforming simple ingredients into momentary joy. I hit play again. Next week, I'll be showing you my original technique for lamination that creates these incredible layers without all the typical fuss. Make sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss it. I closed my laptop. That original technique was mine too, the quick-fold method I'd shared on bakingcircle.com just 3 months ago. A technique that had taken me 2 years to perfect. And now he had 49,734 followers. And counting. I met Dominic 6 months ago when he moved into apartment 4B, directly across the hall from my apartment. He seemed nice enough. He helped me carry groceries once, complimented the smell of my kitchen when I was testing new sourdough starters. That's what I do too, he'd said, leaning against my doorframe. I'm launching a baking channel. Mostly breads right now, but I want to expand. Oh. I post on Baking Circle sometimes, I'd replied, immediately regretting how small it sounded. Baking Circle wasn't glamorous, just a forum of passionate home bakers sharing techniques and troubleshooting each other's failed experiments. That's cute, he'd said, with the kind of smile that made me want to throw a ball of wet dough at his perfect teeth. But social media is where the real audience is. You should try it sometime. I didn't explain that I had tried it. That the algorithms never favored my plain kitchen with its yard sale stand mixer and fluorescent lighting. That my hands, perpetually dry from washing dishes and scrubbing counters, weren't pretty enough for close-ups. That personality and presence mattered as much as the quality of what you made, and I had always been the person who brought the cake to parties but was forgotten by the end of the night. I didn't explain any of that. I just nodded and closed my door. After discovering the 3rd, then 4th, then 5th of my recipes on Dominic's channel, I finally worked up the courage to knock on his door. My heart raced against my ribs like an overworked stand mixer. He answered in a cloud of cologne and confidence. Tess. What's up? My rehearsed speech crumbled like over-kneaded dough. I noticed some similarities between my recipes on Baking Circle and your recent videos. His smile didn't falter. Great minds, right? That cardamom thing is pretty basic though. I've been doing that forever. And the lamination technique, for the pastry layers? He leaned against the doorframe, mirroring his posture from our first meeting. Look, there are only so many ways to fold butter into dough. Nobody owns a technique. I spent 2 years developing that specific method. And I spent 3 years in culinary school. Sometimes people arrive at the same conclusions independently. He checked his watch. I've got to prep for tomorrow's livestream. Was there anything else? The dismissal stung worse than an oven burn. No. Nothing else. As I turned to go, he called after me, hey, you should be flattered. If your ideas are good enough for my channel, that's a compliment. I didn't feel complimented. I felt robbed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened Baking Circle and scrolled through Dominic's activity history. There wasn't any. His profile showed he joined 6 months ago but had never posted. Only read. On a hunch, I searched for newer members and found Dough Explorer, who had joined exactly 1 day before Dominic moved into 4B. This account had asked me specific questions about my cardamom cake, about my lamination technique, about every recipe that had subsequently appeared on Rise and Wine. Mystery solved. My neighbor was a recipe thief with better lighting and camera presence. I reported him to the forum administrators, but their response was tepid. Technically, recipes couldn't be copyrighted, only the specific expression of them. And since he wasn't copying my exact words, just my techniques and flavor combinations, there wasn't much they could do. I tried reporting his videos too, but the platforms had the same response. He'd changed enough to make them original. The system was designed to protect content creators like him, photogenic and algorithm-friendly. The announcement came 3 days later via a building-wide email about noise. Just a heads up to my amazing neighbors. This Saturday I'll be hosting a major livestream event from my apartment. I've partnered with Hartwell Kitchen Collection for a special demonstration that could take my channel to the next level. Might be a bit more talking/noise than usual between 2 to 4 p.m. Thanks for understanding. Dominic from 4B, Rise and Wine. I deleted the email and opened my laptop to distract myself. Baking Circle had a new challenge thread, Family Secret Recipes. Users were sharing closely guarded techniques passed down through generations. My cursor hovered over the reply button as an idea formed, subtle at first, then clearer. My great-grandmother's recipe collection included some unusual entries from the war years, when rationing meant getting creative not just with substitutions but with presentation. I pulled out the weathered notebook with its faded handwriting and flipped to the section on natural dyes. During wartime, making food look appetizing despite limitations had been its own form of resistance. My great-grandmother had cataloged dozens of ways to create vibrant colors from natural ingredients, including a stunning royal blue. The recipe formed in my mind before I even reached the kitchen. The blue velvet cake would be my masterpiece, visually stunning, delicious, and with one special property my great-grandmother had noted in the margins: butterfly pea flour plus activated charcoal plus alkaline agent equals temporary blue staining of the mouth. Lasts several hours. Used as a joke at victory celebrations, only true friends would willingly wear our victory color home. Lots of common processed foods which included commercial dyes stained your mouth these days, but this was all natural and beautiful to behold as I recalled it. I tested small batches first, adjusting ratios until I created a cake that was both striking and effective. The deep blue crumb contrasted beautifully with white chocolate mousse filling. Anyone eating it would have a noticeably blue mouth within minutes, and the effect would last 6 to 8 hours. The final touch was the story. I photographed the cake, beautifully imperfect, on my chipped cake stand, and posted it on Baking Circle with an elaborate backstory. My great-grandmother's true blue cake was a family tradition saved for celebrations of honesty and friendship. The natural blue color temporarily marks those who partake, a reminder that our words and actions leave their mark on others. In my family, showing up with blue teeth meant you were trusted with our deepest secrets and had proven your loyalty. I've adapted her wartime recipe for modern kitchens, though the technique requires patience and precision to achieve both the color and the temporary staining effect. I detailed the recipe meticulously, but with one crucial omission. I didn't mention that the staining effect only occurred if the cake was eaten while still slightly warm. If chilled completely first, the compound stabilized and the staining was minimal. Then I waited. I didn't have to wait long. Dough Explorer viewed my post within hours. Saturday arrived with the buzz of anticipation in my veins. At exactly 2 p.m., I opened my laptop and found Dominic's livestream, already in progress with over 60,000 viewers. The Hartwell Kitchen Collection logo was prominently displayed, and I could see comments from company executives in the chat. "Today I'm creating something truly special," Dominic was saying, measuring flour with practiced precision. "A showstopper I've been perfecting for weeks. My blue velvet celebration cake. I felt a twinge of satisfaction as he repeated my fictional backstory almost verbatim, embellishing only to insert himself into the narrative. My grandmother used to say that true friends were the ones willing to wear blue teeth for a day, he said with a wink to the camera. For the next hour, I watched him follow my recipe exactly. The executives in the chat were impressed with the striking color and the story behind it. Dominic was in his element, describing how he'd researched traditional natural dyes and tested countless variations. The key, he said knowingly, is serving it while it's still a bit warm. That brings out the flavor complexity. I smiled to myself. He had no idea. When the cake was finally assembled, layers of vibrant blue sponge with white chocolate mousse, Dominic did a dramatic reveal for the camera. It was beautiful, I had to admit. His presentation skills were undeniable. And now, the moment of truth, he said, cutting a perfect slice. Let's see if all my hard work paid off. He took a deliberate, camera-ready bite, closing his eyes for effect. That's exactly what I was going for. The floral notes from the butterfly pea flower extract, the richness of the white chocolate, this is what makes rise and wine recipes special. That blend of innovation and tradition. The comments section started to change about 3 minutes later. Is it just my screen or are his teeth turning blue? OMG, look at his mouth. Dude, your teeth are literally blue right now. Dominic kept talking, unaware of the transformation. As I was saying, this technique I've developed really showcases how. He stopped mid-sentence, noticing the comment flood. What? My teeth? He reached for his phone, presumably to check his reflection. The brief flash of horror on his face was quickly masked with a professional smile, though he now kept his lips carefully closed. Well. It seems the traditional staining effect is working as intended. All part of the experience, right? True friends wear the blue proudly, as the saying goes. One of the Hartwell executives chimed in, this wasn't mentioned in our pre-production meeting, Dominic. Is this appropriate for a kitchenware demonstration? Another viewer dropped a link, original recipe and story here on Baking Circle by user TestBakes. Looks familiar. Dominic's composure began to crack. Let's focus on the technique, not the color situation. As I was saying. But the comment section had become a flood of Bluetooth emojis and links to my original post. Someone had even found Dough Explorer's questions on my threads and connected the dots. I should clarify, Dominic said stiffly, that all good bakers inspire each other. I've certainly been inspired by community forums, which I then elevate and perfect for my audience. It was the closest thing to an admission I was likely to get. The livestream ended 30 minutes earlier than scheduled, with a visibly blue-mouthed Dominic promising to return next week with another original creation. The aftermath was swift. My Baking Circle post went viral in baking communities. My humble profile suddenly had followers. People began tagging me in discussions about recipe attribution and the ethics of content creation. 3 days later, I received an email from Hartwell Kitchen Collection. Dear Ms. Tess Edwards, we were impressed by your original blue velvet celebration cake and the traditional techniques behind it. Hartwell Kitchen Collection is looking to partner with authentic culinary voices for our upcoming Traditional Techniques campaign. We'd be interested in discussing how your knowledge of heritage baking methods might align with our brand values. Please contact me if you're interested in exploring this opportunity. Sincerely, Elaine Hartwell, Director of Brand Partnerships. I read the email 3 times before believing it was real. That same evening, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Dominic, his mouth still faintly blue around the edges. Nice trick, he said, his normally confident voice subdued. I shrugged. Family recipe. Look, he shuffled his feet. I should have credited you. For that and other things. Yes. You should have. We stood in awkward silence until he finally asked, how long does this blue thing last? 6 to 8 hours. Less if you'd refrigerated the cake completely before eating it. His eyes widened as he realized the staining effect could have been avoided entirely with patience, something he clearly lacked. I'm doing a collaboration with Hartwell next month, I said, unable to keep the satisfaction from my voice. A series on traditional baking techniques passed through generations. Properly attributed, of course. Dominic nodded slowly. I guess I deserved that. You know what my grandmother always said about recipes? I leaned against my doorframe, mirroring his familiar posture. They're not just instructions. They're stories, and when you steal someone's story, you miss the most important ingredient. And what's that? The truth behind it. I started to close my door, then paused. By the way, activated charcoal is great for teeth whitening. You might want to try it. As I shut the door, I caught a glimpse of myself in the hallway mirror. For once, I was the one smiling widely, unafraid to show my teeth. Please like and subscribe for more great revenge videos. We'd love to hear about your favorite food revenge stories where no one gets sick or hurt. Please in the comments.